uncut, unedited, tell the truth, and shame the devil. I love being black. All right, people, we're back again. We're back again. We're back again. We're back again. I got a great show tonight. As I promised, we're going to come back and we're going to learn some things. And a lot of us, especially about the immigration, that's a hot topic. That and also the SNAP benefits is a hot topic as well. So I want you guys to come on in and make sure you share the video. Let your people know that Martin G is live, uncut, unedited. And, you know, I want you guys to come in so we don't have to keep repeating ourselves. So did you say anything, Sharice? I'm sorry. Okay. And, you know, and that's what happened last program when we was on here live. People jumped in the middle of the podcast and we have already discussed things and they were saying things. And, you know, people, we just kind of like, we got to be on time. You know, sometimes we have to put in a message, say, Martin, could you repeat? What did I miss or something? And maybe we could just redo it because my buddy, he's in broadcasting and he said every 7 minutes it's always new people coming in. So I'm going to take him at his word and I believe that. So come on in, people. Those of you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, you are welcome. I need you to come in and tag someone tonight. We're going to have a great lesson tonight. And a lot of us, some going to agree, some going to disagree, but that's okay. One thing about the truth, you don't have to rehearse it. It stands alone, you know, whether you believe it or not, that doesn't make it. That's not the truth. I've always taught that. You know, if you jump off the roof and you jump up and you stand on the roof and you're going to land. And whether you believe it or not, but you're going to land. Trust me. So come on in, people. I'm looking for some of my good people and check on in. Okay. Check on in. Y'all already know what it is.
You already know what it is.
What is it?
Live, uncut,
and what?
Unedited. Tell the truth.
And what?
And shame the devil.
And we got a great screen for y'all. We're going to put it up. And she's going to go through everything. Know your rights. Know your rights, people. And that's what we want. We want you to know your rights. And not only just for us, but also a lot of us are being mistaken for immigrants. So we have to, all around the board, we have to know. We have to know. And that's what it's going to be a teaching moment tonight. If she decides to take questions, it's okay. If not, it's okay. But I want to sit back and learn because I'm the co-host again tonight. I'm the student tonight, not the teacher. And I want to listen. And we'll wait till a few more people to come on in. We'll wait to get about 20 people. We're at 17, 18 on YouTube, 17 on Facebook. So come on. I don't know how many we have on. Also, Sharice, we did real well on that last podcast. Real well. Did you go back and look at it on Facebook? We did probably close to 10,000. Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm so glad about that because it's about sharing information. So if 10,000 people receive that information, that is awesome.
My job was so proud of me. They was like, oh, I said, y'all didn't know I was that bad, did you? But you know, I work for another organization as well. And I was telling them, I said, man, this is what I do, people. This is what I do. You know, sometimes you have to use the talent that's among you. You know, you have to do it. And you know, you're a leader, so you have to find out what the strengths are of your employees and use it. But we can get started. It's we have 19 on YouTube, 23 on Facebook. Okay, we're there now. We can get started, Miss Sharice. All right. You could just introduce yourself to us real quick, briefly tell us who you are and, you know, real quick.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. I am Sharice Walker, Chief Finance and Operations Officer at the Westside Justice Center. The Westside Justice Center is located at 601 South California on the great west side of Chicago. We are a legal aid agency and we offer free services. So criminal record relief, that means sealing and expungement. Estate planning, so that's your wills, your power of attorney, your transfer on death instruments. We also help tenants and landlords that may be having some conflict, negotiate that conflict so that they can come to a resolution that's happy for both parties. And then we just started a juvenile justice clinic, and we are doing Know Your Rights and immigration.
Okay.
Now, that being said, this evening we are going to talk about immigration. Tuesday evening we talked about SNAP benefits. Tonight we're going to touch on immigration. So I want to start out by saying all immigrants are not Hispanic or Latinx. We do have Black immigrants. And so I know when we hear the word immigrants, we say, well, that's not us. That is us, because there are people that were born in Africa and Haiti and various other places that are not considered Hispanics, but they are Black immigrants. And so tonight, as we talk about the topic of immigration, I just want us to share information and be mindful. And this is more about knowing your rights and knowing your resources. What we do know, what is happening in our community right now, is that ICE, under the pretense of coming to take the worst of the worst off our streets, is here wreaking havoc in the city of Chicago. Now, whether you agree or disagree, or you want them to be here or not be here, the pretense that they came under was taking the worst of the worst off the streets. And I don't know about you all, but the gentleman that they arrested that had the child that had cancer, his worst offense was some tickets, some speeding tickets. I don't know about y'all, but occasionally, you may have a heavy foot. So you may do 50 or 60 or 70 or 80, you trying to get out of town. That's not the worst of the worst. And so we just want to be mindful of that. We also want to make sure that, we understand that it's not a them problem. This is an us problem. And I know people are saying, well, we've been through this, the 60s, and we went through the civil rights movements, and Black people have already been plagued by this, and we know racism. We do. I don't disagree with you. We do know racism. This is very different type of racism. This is where ICE agents are covering their faces. They are snatching children and women and pregnant women and people out of their homes, out of their cars, under the pretense of them being criminals. And so we just want to be mindful of how we view that and how we can help our neighbors. So I'll start out by saying, how can we know what our rights are? If you come into contact with ICE, and I know we've all seen the videos that are online, we've seen what's happening in the news media. Those are not false videos. We witnessed an incident outside of the Westside Justice Center offices where they did take a young Black man into custody, and he was first not treated very well. He was beat up, and then many of you all have seen the video where he was also choked, but he was later released. And so, whereas they may not be sending us back to a particular place, they are still detaining us. And for anyone that's ever been detained or put in custody or put in handcuffs, that's still causing trauma. We don't want to invoke trauma on any of our people if we don't have to. Be it young, old, middle class, Hispanic, Black immigrants, whatever that looks like, U.S. citizens. What we do know is several of the people they're arresting right now are U.S. citizens. People that are watching or observing what's going on, and they don't like it, so they're arresting them. 2 older people have been taken, by ICE. Why? Because they ask questions. And so that's not the worst of the worst. That's them not wanting others to know and help other people. So that being said, if you're stopped by ICE, you ask the question, am I free to go? If they tell you yes, you calmly walk away. You don't have to run. You don't have to skip and jump. Calmly walk away. The other thing I want you to know is that you have the right to remain silent. This goes for ICE, state agents, National Guards, federal police. You have the right to remain silent. And I encourage every individual that if you should be arrested for any reason, first comments out of your mouth is, I invoke my exercise to remain silent. I wish to remain silent. So that means you don't give them your name. You don't answer any questions. You don't tell them, well, I was just going here, or I was just going there. You remain silent. You remain silent and you tell them, I want my attorney. I want my attorney. Once you say you remain silent and you want your attorney, conversation stops. They're going to probably still push and ask you, what is your name? Where were you going? Where was this? Where was that? You still continue to remain silent until you can be given your due process rights, which is to speak with an attorney. You also tell them if they want to search you, I do not consent to a search. Why are you saying that? Because they can pat you down, but you can still say, I don't consent to a search. So they may pat you down and look for whatever, and they may find something, they may not find something, but you have at least stated for the record, you do not consent to a search. If you should physically resist an officer, That is not in your best interest. It can lead to you being arrested for criminal charges. It can also lead to you losing your life. Because what we do know is that when you resist arrest, depending upon if you're running away, if you're fighting an officer, whatever that looks like, if they pull out a weapon, you may not make it home that day. You want to make sure you make it home. And how do you make it home? You remain silent. You don't resist. You tell them you want to speak with your lawyer, and you tell them you do not consent to a search. So what happens if ICE should come to your home? Now, what we know, what I'm sharing with you all is what our rights truly are. What we know is that ICE has not been following the letter of the law. They're not knocking on your door nicely saying, hey, we have a warrant for your arrest. Can we take you? That's not what's happening. ICE is kicking doors in. They're snatching people out of cars. And again, as hectic as those situations are, you still want to do your best to remain calm. If you happen to be on the scene and you see ICE arresting someone, try to videotape it. You don't have to be up close and personal to videotape. Many of us have cameras now. Those phones have a zoom feature. Use that zoom feature to be able to zoom in and capture what's going on video, and then share that. I'm going to share some phone numbers with you later and some agencies where you can call that information into those agencies. And there are lots of rapid response teams that are out here that is trying to make sure that we alert people when ICE is in the community. So what happens if ICE should come to your home? They should not enter your home without a valid warrant. So if they come to your home and they tell you they have a warrant for the arrest of, let's just say, John Smith, okay? Unless they have a valid warrant has John Smith's name on it, it has his address on it, it's been signed by a judge, not by a police officer, not by a federal agent, not by anybody else on the street. It has to be signed by a judge, and it has to be stamped with the seal of the clerk's office. That constitutes a valid warrant. If those things are not on a warrant, you do not have to open up your door. But I'm going to give you one better. Don't even go to the door. If they're knocking at your door, you're not expecting company, I'm not at home. I was taught as a kid, don't open the door for everybody. So if you're knocking on my door, I know you didn't call me and tell me you were coming, you're probably not getting in my home. We have to use that same logic now. If you're not expecting anybody, keep quiet, move to the furthest part of your home, and you stay that way until ICE is no longer in your community. Okay. Again, you have the right to remain silent. You do not have to answer questions about your citizenship. And so let's say ICE should ask you a question, are you a citizen? Are you an immigrant? You don't have to answer those questions because you've already told them you want to remain silent. And so you answer absolutely no questions at all. You don't even have to produce documents. So I know some people are saying, well, you have to carry around with you now, your birth certificate or your passport or your immigration documents. You do not have to carry all of those documents with you, because what happens if they get lost? What happens if they take them off your person? Then what? What we do know is that when they are detaining individuals, most are going to Broadview. Broadview is pretty full now, so they're sending folks out of state. We do know that in Broadview, they had been, and we don't know this to still be true now, they have been giving individuals papers to sign. And that form was people self-deporting. So we encourage you, even if they tell you you have to sign something, refuse to sign anything. You want to keep requesting an attorney until you have an attorney that is there to represent you, not to represent ICE, not to speak on behalf of ICE, but you were told that is an attorney that is there on your behalf to represent and to assist you, and that they speak a language that you understand. Because if you speak Swahili and they're only speaking English, you still don't know what they're talking about. Okay? So you can also request a translator. On the bottom of this document, what you're going to see is some support hotlines. These are agencies that are working very diligently right now to help people in our communities at no charge with immigration. And so that's going to be the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. We call them ICER. If you see something, report it. Report it to them. They had rapid response teams all over the city, and they're sending people out as quickly as they can to make sure that we are monitoring what's happening with ICE. Today was, Halloween, and so there was a lot of extra ICE enforcement out in the communities, unfortunately, because our kids weren't safe, but they were out there taking our people. Okay. First Defense Legal Aid, the Cook County Public Defender's Office, National Lawyers Guild, and of course, the Westside Justice Center. We want to make sure you are invoking your rights. Now, I'm going to show you another screen here. There's these wonderful black palm cards that we have. And I want you all to be sure to get some of these black palm cards that we have. These black palm cards are, again, know your rights opportunities.
Hold on, let me get it up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There you go.
So these numbers here that we were talking about, these black palm cards literally fit in the palm of your hand. And we're encouraging people to stop by the Westside Justice Center, stop by First Defense Legal Aid, contact the Public Defender's Office for these palm cards. At schools, we're sending them to various CPS schools so that people, can get these cards and have them with them. The other thing we're encouraging people to do is that if you're comfortable walking a group of kids to school, walk that group of kids to school. There are lots of families right now that are not comfortable walking their children to school because they may be illegal or they may be undocumented. And so we want to make sure those children are still able to get an education. And so walk those children to school if you're comfortable doing so. For parents that may be undocumented, we encourage you to have what we call a temporary custody order or temporary guardianship papers. Those temporary guardianship papers says that if you should be detained, then you've given temporary custody to someone else to pick your children up from school. As I know in the past, we said, well, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, you may need 10 or 15 people on the list right now. And that's okay. But you want to make sure that the children if your parents are detained, you want to make sure the children still get to be picked up from school. Okay. You don't want them to just be left at school and we don't know what's going to happen to those children. So consider that. The last thing I'll talk about is mutual aid. I talked about this on Tuesday evening with SNAP benefits. It's also going to be the same with immigration and immigration enforcement. People are going to need mutual aid because if you're scared to take your kids to school, you're probably scared to go to the grocery store as well. And so if you've got a few extra groceries, if you're buying for people in your neighborhood, check with your neighbors and see if they might need groceries. What we do know is communities where, like Little Village or Humboldt Park or some of those other communities that are highly immigrant communities, those individuals have not been out in the communities as vendors being able to sell their goods because of what's going on in our community. And so we want to just make sure that we're able to help those individuals as much as possible. The last thing that I'll mention to you all is that if you see something, say something. It's really important now that we understand that this is not just a them problem. This is a us problem. And we have to band together. We have to come together as people and stick together. There have been several orders passed recently by judges that say, they can no longer throw tear gas into the crowd. They're not supposed to be wearing masks anymore. They're supposed to be wearing body cameras that are on. Now, what we still continue to see is that, up until this week, they were still throwing tear gas into the crowd. And that's protesters. Those are people that are out here protesting and you're tear gassing those individuals. We don't want that to happen. People have a right for their voice to be heard. Mm-hmm. The other thing is we want to make sure that people are able to be safe. And you can protest safely and share information safely. So I encourage you all to share this information with others. Have the palm cards. I know people, I'm looking at the chat and people are asking questions. Yes, I am a Black woman. It doesn't matter if I'm Democrat or Republican. It has to do with caring about the human race. And I think, for me, in a legal standpoint, when you snatch a child or a pregnant woman out of a vehicle because she doesn't look like the mold or she doesn't fit the mold or he doesn't fit the mold, irregardless of what your political party is or what the color of your skin is, it's still wrong. I'll turn it over to you, Martin.
Okay. I want to ask a couple of questions. Remember, sure. we had a private conversation. You were saying that how when they capture immigrants, they're making them sign a paper and shipping them out the next day and giving them $2,500. How accurate is that? Is that
So
true?
they're not giving them any money when they self-deport. There is no
Okay.
money being given to any immigrants that are
Okay.
self-deporting. They're self-deporting and they are being sent to various other places. They don't know where they are being sent to, and we are not told where they are being sent to. ICE
Okay.
does have a database that people can check to see if their loved ones have been taken, but that database is not updated regularly, unfortunately. They will eventually show, but it may be hours or even days before those individuals show up on that database.
Okay. Also, we talked briefly too. You were saying that a lot of people that they have apprehended, most of them was 60% was American citizens, right? Is that what you?
60% of the folks from the data that we've been able to gather is a coalition. We have a coalition of about 104 organizations. And in this coalition, we talk very regularly. Our chat goes pretty much 24/7 because there are people that are monitoring what's going on, not just in the streets, but monitoring what's going on online and in the courts. And so, what we do know is that about 60% of the individuals that have been arrested or detained are US citizens. And so, while they're not being shipped off anywhere, just that trauma of having to be detained is wrong because you detained these individuals for no reason.
Okay. Now, I want to ask a personal question. I'm not getting smart or anything. Now,
Mhm.
if a person here illegally, we'll just say that, do they still have rights? I'm asking because I know you there was
So, if individuals are here and they do not have immigration status, so they're undocumented and they're what the slang term is illegal,
Mhm.
they are eligible for due process.
Okay.
Okay, so that means they can go to court and file for the right to become US citizens or have work authorization papers or temporary status documents for them to be here. But they have to go through that process. They just can't be here and say, I'm here in the States. They have to go through the process to become a documented individual here in the United States.
Okay. All right. Now, what do you say to now? This is what I want to get update. Now, I think you said as of last Friday, not this Friday, that the judge ordered them to take off their face masks, right?
That is correct.
Now,
They're not supposed to be wearing face masks
but they
anymore, but
still, I'm looking
they're
at
still
videos,
doing it.
but I'm
They're still
seeing,
doing it.
yeah, but I'm seeing videos with the face masks on.
Mhm. So up until this week Monday, they have been ordering Greg Bavino, who's in charge of this ICE operations, to come to court and report every day at 6 p.m. The appellate court overturned that and said no, that was egregious to him and too cumbersome for him to do that. So they're not requiring him to report at 6 p.m. The reason the initial judge said that was because she wanted to check in to see what's happening every day in Chicago. Because what they're saying is we're not choking people. We're not tear gassing people. We're politely telling people to move back, step back. We just need to detain that person. But what we're seeing in person and on TV is people are being shoved to the ground, people are being thrown to the ground, people are being tear gassed, so on and so forth. And so what he's saying against what the people out here that it's happening to are very different. And so she wanted to be able for him to account for his actions. That's not what's happening.
Oh, okay. Because I'm misunderstanding a lot what's going on now. So do you guys have a number account so far that has been taken? Of
We know that we don't have an accurate count. Let me put it that way, Martin. There is a number, but we don't have an accurate number because the database is not updated regularly. And so I could give you a number and somebody else will call in and say, no, that's really 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000. We don't have an accurate number because the database is not updated regularly.
also about the body cams. Are they
Mhm.
wearing those yet? I haven't
They
seen
are
them.
supposed to be wearing body cameras. I have not personally seen any of them with body cameras on, but that is the rule. The order that came down from the judge is that they are supposed to wear body cameras, and the body cameras are supposed to be on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm waiting to see the body cams. I'm waiting to see their
We have
face.
not seen them yet either.
So okay. So they must not be following the judge's order right now.
And unfortunately, we as individuals that are out here helping people, we can only continue to video record what we're seeing out here as we go out to observe what's going on and share those videos back with the court. We as legal aid organizations, we can't enforce that. That has to be for the judge to enforce that.
Okay. Now, what do you say to we call them Foundation Black Americans? Like me, I'm really not a supporter of the immigration, and I'll be honest with you, but I do believe that people should be treated fairly, though. I do believe that. I don't think people. I've seen a slam an old man, a 78-year-old man on the ground. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I mean, that was just too extreme.
And that's that. Even if you're not a fan of, again, even if you don't agree with people that are undocumented being here in the United States, you have to at least see that people are being mistreated. And so it's one thing if someone has done something and they are detained for a reason. It's another thing when, again, children, pregnant women, elderly people are snatched out of cars or snatched out of their homes for no reason at all under the pretense of being the worst of the worst, and then they're detained. And so eventually, even if you say, you know what, we've checked them out and everything is the way it's supposed to be, you are a US citizen, you still cause that person harm and trauma because you arrested them to begin with, and there was no reason to arrest them.
Now, what are some of the rules? Okay, I want to say this. I hope this don't get us in trouble.
Uh-oh.
I'll be at the flea market, and they put up signs and say that ICE is not allowed inside unless they have a warrant. So is that legal? Is that I don't know.
That is legal. So and that goes for regular police officers as well.
Okay.
If they have a valid warrant, then they are allowed in those places because they have a valid warrant and they're coming to pick up an individual or persons. And so if you have a valid warrant as as an officer, then you can enforce that warrant.
Okay. Okay. That's what I was wondering, because I've seen a lot of signs up and I was like, can they enforce? Now, they can't stop a law enforcement to come in there, but if they apprehend somebody, they must have a warrant, right?
Right. You should have a warrant. They should have a warrant before apprehending someone. What some businesses and organizations are doing now, they're putting up signs that say ICE is not welcome here. And so it may be restaurants where they're telling people that are ICE agents, they won't let them eat in their restaurants. Or it may be businesses where they don't allow ICE to come into their businesses or other things like that. And so they're not following the law. They are detaining people that may be law-abiding citizens, that may be US citizens. And so the pretense that Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino came here to Chicago, and even President Trump, was that they were coming to collect the worst of the worst. And what we've seen is that they're not running, the accidents that they're causing. You're causing an accident and taking people out of their vehicles. You don't know what those individuals have done.
Now, I'm hearing, we all have heard. So I'm figuring out, how do they know who's the worst? How do they have information on them? Because the Chicago police is not working with them.
Right. So we don't know how they're determining who is the worst of the worst. So again, I'm gonna say it again. This is just another form of racism. And as people of color, we've been through what racism is. Our ancestors have been through what racism is. We were detained and kicked out of restaurants and not allowed to sit here or eat there or do certain things because of the color of our skin. Unfortunately, it's coming back again.
It's coming back to hunt. It's coming back in another form. And another thing I was thinking too, they're going to be here for how long?
We don't know. Initially, we were told 30 to 45 days. The last thing that was said was through the end of the year. The date keeps continuing to move, and so it's really at their discretion. What we are continuing to hope is that they do not deploy the National Guard here in Chicago, because that is not needed. And where people were saying, well, Chicago is a really bad city and Chicago is plagued with violence and so on and so forth, is not a reason to deploy the National Guard.
Okay. Wow. because we don't. That's a whole nother level of National Guards step foot out here. That's a whole nother level. So, how many people have your organization helped so far with legal aid, knowing your rights? I know it's
so know your rights. We are doing regularly. We've talked to schools. We've talked to other organizations. We're on your show now, and thank you again for having us. Know your rights training is something we do regularly because know your rights is educating the community, and so we want our communities to be educated. Whether you agree with what's going on or not, we still believe that everybody has a right to have that education. As far as cases that we've been able to take right now, I think we have somewhere between 15 and 25 cases of individuals that we're seeking to assist.
Okay. Well, let me just say this one thing to my audience. You may not agree with them, you may agree with it, but the information, that's what I'm here for. And we have a platform full of Democrats, Republicans, who have white, black, and I want to hear the information. So, I mean, it is what it is, people, and we'd like to know what's going on, and we moving into a new era here in the city of Chicago. We're witnessing things that we've never seen before. People getting pulled out of their car like that and busting the windows, making them have a car crash. I mean, I've seen the videos. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen the videos. The video don't lie. So I've seen it. And I'm like, wow, and I'm just thinking in my mind, I was like, man, this is how they was doing black people.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is how they was doing black people.
And so the tables have turned. And so now they may not be doing this just to black people as they were, during the civil rights movement. They're now doing it to undocumented individuals, but it's the same thing. You're taking a group of people, and because of the color of their skin or the language that they speak, or whatever items you choose, whatever characteristics you choose to say, this group of people should be mistreated this way, and this group of people should not have this, and this group of people should not have that. And so, again, there's a way to do that without snatching pregnant women out of cars, without taking kids. That's got to be an unsettling feeling as a parent to send your child to school, and then your child is taken by some individuals. You don't know where they're taken to. You don't know how they're being treated, and you don't know when you're going to see your child again. That's got to be unsettling as parents to have to go through something like that.
I think that's scary too. And when a person come in a mass and you don't see who they are, because people can perpetrate that like they're ICE.
Exactly.
They are in unmarked cars. Now that's the truth. We see the videos, and they jumping out on people, and it's kind of scary on both parts, because I'm hoping those shootout never come. I believe one person got shot, right?
Yes, in the very beginning, yes.
Right. Okay. It's a dangerous thing on both ends. Wow.
Like I said, for us, again, whether people agree or disagree, that's not why I'm here, for people to agree with me or to disagree with me. It's really to share information. For people to know what their rights are. People perish for lack of knowledge. And so we want to make sure that we are sharing the information that we have, whether you agree with ICE being here or ICE not being here, or you say, well, this happened to black people, so I don't care what's happening to other people. Irregardless of people's stance on that, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or anything else, it's the way people are being treated, and all people should be treated fairly.
That is true. That is true. I believe in that. I don't believe that you're supposed to mistreat people. I definitely don't believe in that. I remember when migrants came here on the south side of Chicago. They came over there, I think 66 and University of Minerva. They came in old grammar school called Wadsworth. And I remember they was bringing them in on CTA buses. Then I remember seeing them on 71st and Cottage Grove, sleeping at the police station. This is during the wintertime, people.
So I want you to remember this. A lot of these individuals that are here, they didn't choose to come to Chicago. You got to remember, when they crossed the border in Texas, Governor Abbott put those individuals on buses and planes and sent them here to Chicago. And he dropped them off at police stations, and he dropped them off downtown, and he dropped them off at shelters, because he said he didn't want any more immigrants in Texas. And so he sent those individuals to Chicago. So it became a problem for us, not because we're not on the border of anything. We're not on the border of Mexico or any states or any countries where you're coming across the border. This was something that Governor Abbott did. He sent individuals by the busload to Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Now we can't deny that. Okay. Now, somebody said that, which I've seen, I was amazed that it's a part of this. But said Indiana State Troopers work with ICE agents. I don't know if they would go ahead.
I have no idea about what they're doing in Indiana. I couldn't tell you.
Well, because out there in Broadview, I did see the Indiana State Troopers and I think Forest Park something. They were doing the crowd control.
Mm-hmm.
So now, whether they was working with ICE or not, I'm not sure on that. Yeah.
The only individuals that I can speak on is that Chicago Police Department has been told that they are not working with ICE. I don't know what's been told to the Illinois State Police or to the Indiana State Police. What has been said is that Chicago Police will not help ICE and will not work with ICE. What they have been doing, I know for Illinois State Police at the Broadview Detention Center, is crowd control.
Okay. Now, I have a question.
Sure.
A question for you. How about now, suppose I'm an immigrant, right? And they arrest me and I have children. Now, how they handle that? That's what I know. Do the children stay behind, or I mean, that's what I want to know.
So it really, what we really would love to see happen is that individuals get a chance, get what we call their day in court. They are afforded the opportunity
Right.
to go to court versus self-deporting or just being deported. Of course, if they're deported, then if they're concerned about their family members, they have the option to ask for their children to go with them or give temporary guardianship to another individual for their children. And so that's really up to the individual families of how that's being handled. Because just because a person has been detained, they don't have to state, again, you invoke your right to remain silent. So you don't have to say that you have family members that that you're leaving behind or that you want to take with you.
Okay. So are they allowing this to happen?
I couldn't even answer that, Martin.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a deep question. That is.
Yeah, I have no idea if they're allowing that to happen.
Because I was wondering, it's like a parent go up to the high school or grammar school and pick up their child and they get detained by ICE. Now, what happens to the child in school? That's it's a lot of things that we don't know, I'm not aware of, and all that. So I'm like, man, how is they handling that?
So that's why we are encouraging families, especially if they know they are undocumented, to have this temporary guardianship order, because then if that parent should be detained, then that temporary guardianship order is giving someone else guardianship over those minor children until either the child and the parent are reunited, or if unfortunately that child is not reunited with them, at least that child is still has somebody to take care of them, and they're just not left to be put into another system.
Okay. Now, one more last thing I want to ask you. Could you explain to my audience what is maybe a sanctuary city? Could you explain that? How are we different from a city that's not sanctuary or a state?
So us being a sanctuary city means we're not doing what's happening right now. We're not pointing out individuals that are undocumented and stopping them from coming to our city here in Chicago. We are trying to do our best to help them find housing and find employment, but most importantly, to go through the process to become citizens in the United States. Cities that are considered non-sanctuary cities, they're not doing that. They're doing their best to deport individuals as quickly as possible. They don't allow them to stay in their cities.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Now, let me just say this to my audience too. It's a lot of Black people, Foundation Black Americans is not in agreement with ICE. Some of them publicly will come out public and say it, and some of them would not say anything. I always say that Chicago is split down the middle with this. And like you said, you're not only here, you're just here bringing us the law.
Just sharing information. I am
Right.
not an attorney, and so I cannot give anybody legal advice. But I can share information and educate individuals on what their rights are under the law and how people should be treated fairly, because that's our biggest concern. Whether you, again, Republican, Democrat, blue, purple, black, brown, whatever that is, people should be treated fairly. And again, snatching a pregnant woman out of a vehicle and throwing her to the ground, none of us want to see that happen. Taking a child that's walking home from school, no one wants to see that child come up missing. So
Wow.
again, treat people fairly. We wanted to be treated fairly. We never wanted to be, we didn't want our ancestors to be mistreated. We don't want others to go through that. And it's happening again. And again, it's not just a them problem, it's a us problem, because if they are doing it to one population of individuals now, it's just a matter of time before they pick another population of individuals that they want to do the same thing to.
Oh, and I think this is going to be my final question too. Are they grabbing others outside of Latin people and Mexican people? Are they grabbing? Okay.
So again, there are Black immigrants in the country, and they may be from South Africa, they may be from Tanzania, they may be from Haiti, they may be from various other places, but they identify as Black, and they may look like you and I as Black people, but they are Black immigrants. And so some of those individuals have been detained as well. We work with an organization that has several Black immigrants that have been detained. You're not seeing that on TV as much as you're seeing other nationalities publicized as immigrants being detained. But there are several Black immigrants that have been detained as well.
Okay. Now, do you guys, I think I asked you this question already. Do you have a count of how many been apprehended or?
No, we don't have an accurate count at all, Martin.
Okay.
I can tell you it's upwards of 2,000 individuals, but we don't have an accurate count. Again, ICE is not keeping an accurate count of the individuals. They're not putting them on the database regularly. And so the way that we're able to check is if families of individuals that have been detained contact one of the agencies, or if we check the ICE database.
Okay. And I promise, this is my last question. Are they allowing the undocumented to contact people, their family members here, if they apprehend them, or they just privately just send them away, no phone calls or anything? Are they giving them phone calls?
They should be given phone calls. That may not always be happening in all cases. We are truly encouraging and fighting for those individuals to be given due process, which is a phone call to their loved ones or to an attorney to say that they have been detained, so that individuals know where they are, and then individuals know what processes they need to follow to assist them.
Okay. Now, that's it. I had one more question, but that's it. I'm just question, because I haven't seen them grab no white immigrants out. Really, I haven't. I'm not saying they haven't
Black immigrants either on videos, but we know what's happening.
Okay. All right. I mean, I had to ask, dog. Another. It's not a question. Make a statement. So what is happening to their finance? So if you just suppose they have it's what you call an I-10. Undocumented have an I-10 with the banks. So if they deport undocumented, what happened to their finances of the property they own? Because undocumented, some of them have homes.
That's very true. I don't know what's happening to their property or their homes. I don't know if they've gone through the process of leaving that with other family members, if they've had an opportunity to do so, or if those properties are lost. I don't know what's happened with those individuals, with the property of someone that's been detained, or what happens with their finances.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. I want you to come on here, and could you give us a real brief cap on what's happening with the stamps, the SNAP benefits, real quick, and I'll let you go.
Two federal judges have signed an order on, probably in the last couple hours, that said Trump has to release federal funding to put money into SNAP, so 42 million Americans do not lose their SNAP benefits. Now, what remains to be seen is if that happens. And because the order was just done today and tomorrow is November 1st, even if they do comply with the order, there will possibly be a delay for individuals receiving their SNAP benefits for those that might be receiving them on November 1.
And if my memory serves me well, I read it and it said he can give partial payment or full payment.
That is correct. And right now, it sounds like what they're going to do is give partial payment and not full payment because they're only funding part of it. Now, I know here in the state of Illinois, our governor, Governor Pritzker, has said he would use an emergency funds to fund SNAP. But he also said that we don't have enough money in the state of Illinois under the emergency funds to fully fund what SNAP benefits would cost the state of Illinois per month.
Okay. So that's the update, people. That is the update. So we shall see tomorrow. We're going to see, well, maybe midnight tonight if something come on. It still might be a delay, I'm thinking.
I'm thinking it'll be a delay. Our prayer and hope is that they will go ahead and fund the SNAP benefits program so that individuals don't lose, being able to feed their families. Because again, when rent is due and food needs to be put on the table and you have all these other expenses like getting to and from the work or getting to and from the school, something suffers. What we don't want is our children to go hungry. We don't want our families to go hungry. And so we really want them to fund the SNAP benefits. Even if it's partial, we still want them to fund the SNAP benefits so people can feed their families.
Now, the food depository, did they run out of food, I heard, or they were just...
The Greater Chicago Food Depository has not run out of food. No, They are partnering with several food pantries to make sure those food pantries stay well stocked so that they can take on the influx of individuals that may not get SNAP benefits. They did not run out of food.
Oh, because there was a word out there that they ran out of food. Okay. All right.
They did not.
All right. Is there anything else that you can say?
I want people to, irregardless again of how you feel about the situation with immigration, know your rights, educate yourself. That's the most important thing, is that we as individuals, that we are making ourselves knowledgeable and educating ourselves on what our rights are, what our risks are, and what resources we have out there that's available not only to ourselves, but to others in our community.
And Blacks, we need to know this information too as well, because what if you're mistaken as an undocumented, or unauthorized person, and you'll know what to do. You'll know what to say.
Exactly.
So you got to take this information now. You can close your ears to this information because you don't agree with it. I don't support the immigration. I'm with deportation. I'm being honest with you, and I told you that's my stand. But I want you to come on here so we can learn. I'm open. I'm open. I don't believe that the migrants, the undocumented, should be slammed to the ground, windows busted, the car rammed, and all. That's just too much. That's too extreme. I've seen one video where they was punching. I'm like, okay, what's the purpose of punching? I'm against police, any military against citizens. I'm against that, period. I'm not saying they gotta move your arm here, don't move it, but you punching and just knocking people upside the head, busting their windows, and it's just too much. There's got to be some rules of engagement, period. I believe that, period. And also, I believe when they grab an illegal person that's not here, undocumented, they should be allowed to have a phone call or something. They should. They have a right to say, hey, I want an attorney. They have that right, whether they're legal or not. I believe in that. I believe in being humane, though, I believe in fair treatment. I believe that. I mean, like I told people when they came here, was sleeping on the floor and all that. I didn't want to see no babies barefooted, sleeping in the cold. And I don't have that type of heart.
Right.
And I'm for Black people. I am for Black people, but I'm for my people first, but I don't think that we should mistreat people. That type of heart that I have. I'm speaking for me, and this information was necessary. And that's why I brought you back on this platform. So we need to know, because guess what, Black people, Foundation Black Americans, you may not look like an immigrant, but what if they grab you and say you are one? You need to know how to handle yourself. Am I correct?
That is correct. Because again, they're not just taking people that look like immigrants. They're taking the 2 kids they snatched out of Kenwood. Those are 2 young black men, 2 young adults. And they don't fit the mold of what they're considering immigrants, but they fit the mold of those that they say they want to take, because they say they're taking the worst of the worst. So they're, in their mind, they may be taking people that are unhoused. Being unhoused is not a crime. They may be taking people that are, have expired license plates. Granted, it's illegal to have an expired license plate, but that's not the worst of the worst. It's illegal to speed. That doesn't make you the worst of the worst. And so I just want people to understand it here. Educate yourselves on what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because again, today it's this group of individuals. Tomorrow it may be another group of individuals. It may be us again. We don't know, but we need to be prepared. We need to know what our rights are, and we need to know what our resources are. We need to make sure that we are sharing information with each other and just not keeping it to ourselves because we don't agree with this, that, or the other thing. Even if you don't agree with it, you still want to be knowledgeable about a situation. You want to know what your rights are. You want to know that you can remain silent. You want to know that you can say, I don't consent to a search. I do want an attorney. You want to know what that is, because if you just don't like what's happening and you running off at the mouth and they pop you in it, then what? Then you're upset because you got hit. I want to sue because I got hit. But I'm saying to you, know what your rights are. Just remain silent. It's a challenging situation. We're living in very different times, very challenging times. We want people to make it home safely. We want them to make it home safely. But we also want all of our populations to be educated on what to do if it should happen to you or to a loved one. Because again, it's not a them problem, it's a us problem. It's just a matter of when they get to the next group of people and who that next group of people will be.
That's true. So with that being said, I thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the update about the SNAP benefits. And I'm so glad you came on here. Exciting, because I need to know too. And I see a lot of people, because they might grab me. I need to know what to say. And sometimes they probably know you're American, but well, we're gonna give him a problem because he stared at us or he was filming. Because everybody know I like to film, so they might grab me from filming one day. You just don't know.
Because they're arresting protesters right now.
Right.
They're arresting people that are videotaping.
Yeah.
They're arresting older people just because they're asking questions.
So they arrest 2. I know they arrest 1 older person. There
was one, she wasn't arrested. She was shoved down. And this was just earlier today.
Wow.
But just the idea that you can't ask a question. Our ancestors fought for us to be able to have freedom of speech. But now you're telling me I can't even, if I ask you a question, you're going to arrest me and I have to give you my credentials before you will let me go? That's crazy. So what happens if I don't have any credentials? I got to stay detained until you go through whatever system you go through to find out that I'm a U.S. citizen before you release me. So that may be an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day or 2 days. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We got to know what our rights are. We got to know what our resources are. We have to be willing to share this information with other people, because if not, we are hurting ourselves. I'll say it again. Our people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Yes. All right, we could go on. This is very informational. I've learned some things. I really learned some things, and I have a different perspective the way I can look at things now, because what if they grab one of us like they grabbed the 2 young men from Kenwood, and that could be one of us or one of our children, so, I got a teenager, you have a teenager. So,
I have 2 teenagers.
Right. Okay. So, man, and I would hate to grab my teenager and she don't know what to do, say, and I don't know where they've taken her and all that. Oh, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And it should be a problem.
And it should be. We have to raise our voices. And we can't just be quiet and say, well, it's not happening on my side of town, or it's not happening in my neighborhood, or it's not this, it's not that. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. It's not a matter of them. It's a matter of us. And it's a matter of when will or if it will happen to us. who is going to be the next group of people that they target, because we just don't know.
That is
We
correct.
don't know from day to day what this administration is going to do. We wake up every day and it's something different, and we don't know what that different looks like.
That is correct. That is definitely correct, because now they got their foot in the door. So now it's like, okay, I mean, they jumping out. I'm like, man, it's scary.
They jumping out of cars. They're
Right.
causing car accidents. They're breaking windows. Who wants their windows busted? Because you want to take me, and you don't even know if I've done anything or not, but you're causing property damage and physical damage.
Hypothetical speaking, suppose the person that they busted when the car caused an accident and they're American citizen. So how would they? I mean, what's happened? Can they be sued or what?
You can definitely sue anybody, Martin. You don't know that you're going to get anything from being sued, if it's just going to be a waste of your time.
Right.
You have the right to sue anybody for anything.
Right. But how you know who you're suing if they don't have no name tags? Or, I mean, it's just like there's no rules.
Right. So our Secretary of State did tell them they cannot be driving vehicles that are unmarked. So they can't be taking off the license plates or switching license plates on vehicles. They did tell them. But again, has ICE been following the rules of any of the orders that have come down from any of the judges? The answer is no.
Wow. Okay, y'all. If y'all have any questions, just put them in the chat. Oh my God, this is I've learned a whole lot. A whole lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to come on here on this Halloween day. And I thought it was 8:30, but it was 7 and 7:30. I'm glad I was on my way in Uber. I'm glad, because I was in Uber when you called. I was in Uber.
Okay.
All right. So thank you so much. You already know what it is.
You already know what it is.
Oh, tell us where your
Live,
organization is if they
uncut,
need some help or anything too.
unedited. Tell the truth and shame the devil. I love it.
Tell us how can they find you too as well.
We are the Westside Justice Center. We're located at the corner of California and Harrison, 601 South California. And again, we do provide free legal services for criminal records relief. So that's sealing and expunging records. We're helping landlords and tenants come to an agreement if they have a disagreement. We're helping with immigration clinic, juvenile justice, and estate planning. So wills, power of attorney, and transfer of death. And again, those are at no cost to the community.
Okay. So it's free. We say free 99, people. Come and get it. Come get your free. Thank you so much. I'm out of here this time. Thank you so much, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Share the live, tag someone in live, take the information. I promise you, you might just need this information. A lot of you, because you feel a certain way about the immigration. I feel a certain way, but I need this information. And I got it, because if they grab me, I'll know what to say and know what to do.
Exactly.
Period. Whether I agree with ICE or not, I know the information, and I want you guys to know the information as well. All right, people, we out here live, uncut, unedited. Appreciate you.